This is going to be an interesting one today because there's a lot of Celtic love out there today. And the burning question at the end of the video we're going to go into in a bit of detail is fan ownership and Celtic. There's an article that's been released and it is all about the Celtic Trust. If you don't know about the Celtic Trust, stick around to the end of the video because I am going to go through this article in a bit of detail. But the first bit of breaking news this morning is Celtic's chances of retaining the crown will not be derailed by the coronation. You can imagine the songbook that weekend. Malky Mackay says that the Staggies should follow Scotland's route to victory against Celtic this weekend. One of the best goals that Malky Mackay scored for Celtic was against the old Rangers. And he basically came from the back of the box and jumped up, cracking header right past Andy Gorham. It was a fantastic goal. Davy Martindale says that Captain Callum McGregor is the Rolls Royce engine of Scottish football. And the Hibs manager says it won't take mega money to topple Celtic and Rangers. He talks about his sideline ban. I think it would take a lot of money to topple Celtic in the SPFL, and I think for a club like Hibs, first and foremost, they should be thinking about getting maybe into third position. I don't know. Anyway, the SPFL plan for the coronation of Charles will not derail the Scottish Premiership, it has been said, which is on May the 6th, despite games south of the border being moved. Who cares about that? You can just imagine the songbook that weekend really for the Celtic fans. If we get an away game, it will be fantastic, but I've got a funny feeling that they might play us at home for that. Callum McGregor has been getting lots and lots of love, honestly. Well, the fact that he totally bossed the game against Spain, which was fantastic. The midfielder has had lots of praise from all the press conferences that were yesterday. Obviously, Malky Mackay has given him lots of praise. Davy Martindale giving Celtic praise. What is that all about? Usually he's crying about us and moaning about us, but Martindale is a big fan of the Celtic midfield player and says that the 29-year-old has what it takes to excel, and wait for it, at a club south of the border. Martindale says if you look at the players that are playing down south, Callum McGregor would slip into any team down south. I was just waiting for him to say, I'll drive you down there, Cal Mack, if you want to go. Anyway, moving on from that. We obviously play Ross County this weekend, and Malky Mackay, the Ross County manager, says that the victory over Spain can offer his side some hope against Celtic this Sunday, with the defending champions in fantastic form. Celtic won 14 of the last games in all competitions and obviously 9 points in front in the league. Celtic's last defeat was a 2-0 defeat last September. It's their only domestic loss. We're getting closer to winning the league. Talking about winning the league and talking about taking Celtic that next step forward, I'm going to break over to the story that's came out about the Celtic Trust pushing for a shadow board. Now, if you're a Celtic fan, you probably know of the Celtic Trust. They've been around for years. I know Jeanette Finlay and that do massive work behind the scenes on an ongoing basis. They were part of the group that sort of pushed for the safe standing section at Parkhead. They were major players in the abolishment of the Offensive Behaviour at Football Act. And if you remember that back in the day, which was brought about, you have to remember, by the McCoist and Lenny scuffle, we'll call it, in the box after a game when we beat them at Celtic Park. And they also want to turn the Celtic end, they want to turn the Jock Stein Lower into an iconic safe standing section. How do you feel about that, Celtic fans? However, the Trust, which has around about 1,000 members and they pay in the region of about £5 a month, they have 150,000 shares. They basically want a place on the board. How do you feel, Celtic fans, about Celtic being under fan ownership? Is that the way forward for the club? Well, that's to debate this one out in the comments, because it's probably a quite important thing for the club. I know there's lots of clubs that have done it around the world. Is that a good thing? They run down the way that they're scared that Celtic could be there for a takeover. Now, when you look at our owner, and when the owner bought the shares from Fergus back in the day, Fergus made sure that no one person had 99% ownership of the club. I think DD has 50.1 percent of the shares. Somebody could come in and buy his shares, obviously, but there's no prospect of Ange Postecoglou's men being derailed with the healthy annual profits at Celtic. It does make for a big sheik to come in and say, but that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Celtic aren't going to be sold to anybody. I think that Didi's son has taken over a lot of his business, so I think the shares will stay in the family. If anybody knows any more information about that, I think I might do some digging on this one, and we'll do another video. If a hostile takeover was to happen, I can't really see it. It's unrealistic to think that that sort of thing might not happen. You know, it could happen. There's a lot of people with money out there that are pumping silly money into English football over the years. I mean, look at Newcastle United. They were sold for who knows what when the Sheikh, Arabic Sheikh came in. Is that the way forward? No, I don't think it is. I don't think somebody will invest that type of money in Scotland. If you look at the old Rangers, they were going to build £750 million hotels and everything back in the day. I think the Celtic, the way that Celtic has been formed, obviously since 1888, 1887, was to maintain the dinner tables of the children of the unemployed. Celtic charity work, the Green Brigade do massive charity work still. You know, Celtic itself still do a lot of charitable work. The Celtic Trust does a lot of work. How do you feel about that? Let's debate it out. Fan ownership. Would fan ownership be good for Celtic? Or my problem with fan ownership and the way that Celtic is run, Celtic as a fan base is fragmented. And we're fragmented because we have, for instance, the Celtic Supporters Association was always bringing all the supporters clubs from all around Scotland together. And I mean, I've been in meetings at the Celtic Supporters Club Association, and there's infighting about ticket allocations. One club gets more tickets than the other. Why? And you know, there's sometimes not that togetherness as a fan base, and that's my only worry. Is when you go down the route of fan ownership, that it has that divide in it, because people see that people are getting more influential within the club. So tell me your comments on that. As a Celtic family, yes, we all come together, but there are factions obviously within the ground and within the Celtic support that just don't get on with each other, and that happens with every club, you know. But I just think the way that Celtic is, it's club open to all. Would fan ownership be a good thing? This is the question of the day. The safe standing section has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic, grown from that little section up in 111 where there was only a couple of hundred to getting the safe standing section, which was applauded at the time. Well, people in Liverpool were questioning the fact about it. People from Liverpool came up and seen around the safe standing section. They spoke to people in the section, and they were more than happy the way the section was run. With around about 28,000 small shareholders and ordinary fans that have bought into the club over the years, you remember Fergus McCann did the big share launch at his time in the club. You know, would it be a good thing to increase that, or would it divert the way that the business has been run? Because let's face it, the business and the business model of Celtic has been run fantastic over the years from a financial point of view. I think anything that would dilute that and dilute the focus and the way forward that the club has had may not go down too well with a lot of fans. So on that, I'm going to leave this open to you. A fan-led football review governs, you know, how would that sit with you at Celtic and Celtic fans? So tell me in the comments. On that note, I might come back with a video this afternoon when Ange Postecoglou has done his interview with the press, and then we'll see what happens this weekend with Ross County. Hail, hail.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up.